living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Fuck me, I'm looking in the mirror, so foggy, but I've never seen clearer. I don't really...
Hello there everybody, and welcome back to another one of the gardening guys. So obviously I'm just here today, obviously with myself and Michael the cameraman. So I'm just going to take you through on obviously what's changed. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So there's not much happening with the parsnips as yet. They're still growing. They're not going to be ready for a while yet, as I've got to let the frost improve them. You'll be probably digging them up about December, January time, but as you can see they're growing fantastic. So with the carrots, and I've started harvesting some of the carrots, so they're doing absolutely fantastic. We had some of them for dinner the other day, didn't we?
Yes.
So they was actually
They were nice.
They were really
decent
nice
ones.
So just working my way through them. Obviously, as you can see,
Huge.
they're getting to the point now where they're absolutely massive, so they'll be all right. Just work my way through them. And then I've also planted some more carrots inside here,
Just in case we're running short.
exactly. So because we're now sort of coming up to, I'd say, mid to the end now of the season. Probably got about 2.5 months, 3 months at the push, depending if we get any frost. So hopefully we'll get some off them. I'm probably going to also have some, obviously dig that. It's already been weeded, so I might put some lettuces or some quick growing veg, radishes or something like that in there. Runner beans. So runner beans have done absolutely really well. They've now got to the tops of the poles. I've actually now took the heads off them so they can't run anymore. There's a few here which like that, so they'll continue to run up the poles until they get to the tops, and then I will top them as well. But there's, if I can find you some, I'm not sure there was any. Oh, there you go. So you can see through here that these little red flowers, they'll get little flowers all on them, and then the flowers will die off, and the beans then will produce off them. So they're growing really well. What else? So yeah, this side of the allotment, I'm currently getting round to weeding it. I've started getting all the weeds out of there, just working my way back. So hopefully we'll get that weeded soon, and the same then will be for this part, and then obviously around the pumpkins and courgettes. So obviously with the pumpkins, they've done really well. It was a bit late putting them in, but I think they've grown really fast.
There's one there. Oops, there.
So if you can see, there's a little pumpkin just there, and there's 2 different varieties of pumpkins. I'm just going to try and see if...
That one isn't, I've looked.
There you go. There's a little pumpkin right there, just starting to form. And there's another variety over here. There's another little pumpkin. There's another little pumpkin there. So they are slowly but surely growing. So I'm hoping that they produce, all being well. Courgettes. The courgettes are also doing really well. I might take this one home tonight. That's just the right size for a courgette. So really well. Fruit cage.
We still need preparing.
I've been saying for many months that we're gonna get it sorted. We are definitely gonna get it sorted, but it's one of those for everybody who's not got an allotment. You plan something and then you get down and you end up doing something completely different. But you always at some point revert back to the same plan that you was going to probably do 6 or 12 months ago. It's just the way it happens, unfortunately.
And that is still on our to-do list.
It definitely is.
For a while.
Sunflowers. So the sunflowers have done really well.
It's nice that we can walk over this now instead of having to go all the way around it.
It is, yeah. They're also sort of coming to the end now, so which is a shame because that was absolutely beautiful.
They were nice when they were out.
They was definitely a nice big head at that side on your right, so really well. There's some down here, which the main head is obviously finished, as you can see, but then you tend to sort of sometimes get some side heads which will then give you a bit more life. And what I'm probably going to do with the seeds out of these is I will save some for drying the seeds out for next year, and then the remaining ones that I've got I'm going to try and hopefully, fingers crossed,
Replant.
try and make some sunflower oil out of them to use obviously for then cooking. Fingers crossed. I've never done it before, but I'm going to research into it and hopefully get it done.
Maybe a video.
Exactly. If we can get it right. I've never done it before in my life, so something always good to try. Moving on.
And I covered it in my video. You seem to have stashed more wood since I've been down here.
Yes, so I sometimes, if I can get hold of it, collect bits of wood. If it's okay and it's not rotten, it's always good for building. At the moment, I'm currently trying to build a window box for the shed, which I've actually started, which is this here. I need to put a base into it, put some drainage holes, use some membrane to line it, and then I'm going to use that to mount on the shed under the window, and then hopefully plant that with some herbs and then grow them again. So hopefully that will be okay. Now, everybody who remembers when I accidentally snapped off the grapevine shoot from the main grapevine, if you can all remember, I planted it into a pot early in the year, and I did say it was hit and miss whether it would grow. Now if you look, it's actually grown. Wow, absolutely fantastic. It's got new shoots on it, there's new heads on it, so that's growing as well. Quite vigorous, and it's doing really well.
It does like it in here, doesn't it?
Yes, it does seem to be growing. It's got tendrils on it as well, which tells me that it's going to be soon, you know, trying to attach itself to something. And then when it gets up to about here, there's some line here, which I'll just pull that over, and then I'll just trail it all the way down, and hopefully down again, and I'll probably put a bit more along there, and then just trail it and then have it back down, so the grapevine hopefully will be then all along there, and then hopefully we'll get some grapes off there. So fingers crossed anyway, fingers crossed.
Now I'm just gonna, are you going into
Yeah.
it's a bit of a disaster, well it's more of a harvest zone than a disaster zone.
That's
the harvest zone, and that one's the disaster zone.
It is, yes.
Go on then.
Right, so this is coming to the end now. So these are some tomatoes that I've taken today, which I'll be taking home. Off obviously all these. I'm going to sit down because there's very little room. I do apologise. So these are all different varieties of tomatoes. These are like cherry ones. I've got some plum ones, some normal ones there. I think they're Shirley. So we're getting quite a substantial amount of tomatoes, so that's good. And then I've got some cucumbers at the bottom. So they're doing okay. And then obviously there's some onions, which will be ready to eat soon, and some garlic. But obviously at the same time I've put them in here in the hot weather, because when you first pull them up you should always dry them out for a week or two, so there's no rotting or anything, and then you just peel them back and they're good to go. Chop them up and eat them. And there's some lovely tomatoes,
Juicy tomatoes.
Juicy tomatoes. So yeah, right, moving on now. In this polytunnel, just before I get to the polytunnel, the grapevine, I don't know if I did do a video with it, it was absolutely growing.
It was right over.
It was, yeah. So I've capped it at the top because it's growing out of control, and I've just trained it now and tied it back to the side of the shed. I haven't exactly had any grapes off it this year, so there's a few things this year that have grown really bad out of control, but they've not fruited, which is the exact same as my apple tree. But I've not long just been told that if you get a good crop off it the one year, which I did last year, it won't fruit the following year because it has to reserve its energy in a way, so that the following year, so it'll be next year, fingers crossed again, you'll get a nice big bumper crop off it again. So I didn't really know that about trees, but I do now. Right, moving on. So, as we call it, the disaster zone. We call it the disaster zone because it was lovely, but now it's time to harvest, so everything's like dying off. So,
and it is a complete disaster zone in there.
Yeah. So we're going into the secondary polytunnel. So, obviously we had, pardon me Mr. Spider, I do apologise. So obviously we had a wall of potatoes there, and we had broad beans here. So the broad beans have completely been took down. I've saved seeds for replanting off them, and obviously ate the rest. The potatoes, as I dig the plants out from what I need, I put all the weeds and dead potato plants here. These ones, if anybody's wondering why am I wasting potatoes, I'm not wasting potatoes. Some of them are no good. They've been eaten by
Oh, they look like that one.
Yeah. And then ones like this which are completely green, those go like that because they're very close to the surface. Once they go green, I would not advise to eat them. They will give you a really, really bad stomach, and they can also be poisonous. So I would advise, do not ever eat a green potato, even if it's got a little bit of green on.
Chuck it.
I don't know if I can find one.
That one's not too bad.
Like this.
Just a little bit on the corner.
You can look at the little bit of green on the end. I would strongly still give it a miss.
But then you have had...
Yeah, so those
That's
ones,
only some.
Yeah, those ones there are okay. So I am going to take them home and eat them. That's perfectly fine. You can, if the skin's a little bit brown or whatnot, you'll be okay.
And you said these were Charlottes, didn't you?
Yeah, all of these here is a variety called Charlotte, and they are quite good. Depending on what you, I suppose it's the sort of potato where they come in intervals. If you want them for baby potatoes, you can have them for baby potatoes. If you want them, you know, to leave them until they die right back like this, then you will actually get massive boulders that will just come out of the ground, and you can use them for jacket potatoes, cutting for chips, loads and loads of different things.
You did potatoes
we did, so
with
yeah,
them.
because we had some for jacket potato, cheese and beans, didn't we?
Yeah, and then you did some, was it garlic potatoes on the side?
Yeah, so
It was a very potato-y meal.
we are, so even things, potatoes like that, that size, or even like that size, I just put them into a pan, bit of oil, or you can use butter, bit of butter into it, and then I put a little bit of thyme and a little bit of garlic, and also people sometimes put basil, or I put mint, and you just put a couple of leaves of that, and you then just fry it all until all the juices seep into the potato and the potatoes cooked, and they are absolutely beautiful. So, and that's all I do, and we had a good meal out of it, didn't we?
Yeah.
So
You left the rest with me.
we did. I had a couple of runner bean plants, or should I say seeds spare, so I put them into the ground, so we've definitely got more runner beans to grow. So, and they seem to have grown a lot faster.
They're doing
because
well.
it's in the heat than the ones outside.
I think maybe some slug control's needed.
Yeah, the one pole in the middle, unfortunately the seeds didn't germinate on that, so, but it seems to be another support system for all the others, so I'm not going to worry about that. I've got enough. So, and then obviously beginning of the season, I ordered off eBay 2 peach trees, which are the varieties called Red Raven, and I didn't think they were going to amount to much, but
They are loving it down here.
many months of looking after and nurturing, we come to beautiful trees. Very vigorous, absolutely beautiful. And the same with this one. This one I like better. It's got more vigorous growth on it. If anybody's going, oh, why did you plant a tree inside your polytunnel? They are dwarf trees, and
They're not going to go through the roof.
they're not going to go through the roof. Also, peach trees, yes, you can plant them outside, but they do not at all like the winter months in the UK. They absolutely hate it. They don't like low temperatures. If you suspect them for low temperatures, they will still grow, but you won't get anything off them, because that's when you get a disease called peach leaf curl. And peach leaf curl, once you get that on it, the whole tree is completely useless. If you look on the ground, you can see there's a few little leaves that are falling onto the ground. I always get them up just in case, because peach leaf can also, if it gets into your soil, it gets into the roots of other plants, it can have devastating effects. So I normally just pick them leaves up. Now Michael's going to demonstrate what a horsetail leaf is. Now,
Horrible stuff.
People say, well, how is that a leaf? It's a leaf. It's a prehistoric leaf as well. It's been around for thousands of billions of years. And back, I suppose, when the dinosaurs were roaming around on the planet, that, what Michael's just showed, wasn't a weed, it was a tree. So if you imagine walking through the forest and you look at these 100 or so foot tall trees, at one stage before evolution, I suppose, had its way with nature, that, what Michael picked up, was a tree. And over billions and billions of years, evolution shrunk it down into a, what they call a gardener's wreck, which is now a weed.
Household pest for gardeners.
Pretty much.
And we're not short of it in this polytunnel.
No,
it does seem to
exactly.
love it in this polytunnel.
So a lot of people say that there's chemicals and etc out there that you can get it. I was told from one many years ago, and it's called curtail. You can probably get it in a 10ml, 20ml bottle, and I think for the amount that you get for £50-60, it's absolutely disgraceful. I wouldn't recommend it. I have bought it once, and it goes away for about 2-3 months, and then it comes back with devastating effects. It just aggravates it. So I would recommend just doing what I normally do,
a good dig,
and that's just try and dig it out. I wouldn't recommend rotavating it. You can, but you need to leave it till at least mid to end of summer, because the spring months, when it starts to go into seed pods, if you rotavate it, then it's a heaven. It's an absolute mess. You will have a good chance of spreading it, and if you spread it and it goes over to neighbouring plots and they don't want it, you've got a big problem on your hand. So yes, you can rotavate, but please don't do it in the spring, because that's when it's at its most advantage. So leave it till about midsummer, when there's no seed pods on it. Anyway, that's a bit about today. So thank you very much for tuning in again. Obviously,
we need to get out of this polytunnel.
Exactly.
It's cooking.
Don't forget to obviously like, share and subscribe, and if you've got any comments, don't forget to link them down below.
What's the website?
The website is,
every time it gets him.
it does.
tggofficial.co.uk.
Guys, we'll see you all very soon. Take care. See you soon.
Call me a